Well, good morning, empty nesters, and welcome. Once again, I say good morning and welcome. Welcome to Virtual B18 and our Empty Nester Sunday School lesson for August 9th. Lesson 21, if my count is correct. It's hard to believe. I sincerely hope each of you are doing well. These are indeed strange times, and I miss each and every one of you. I don't know about you, but at times I'm getting really bored. Really bored of being stuck at home. There are so many things that have changed since mid-February, things that I really miss. I miss date night on Friday night with my wife. I so miss going out to dinner, and I really miss my good Mexican food. I miss getting together with friends and neighbors. And although I enjoy our virtual lessons and watching the streaming sermons, I really miss being in our church facility. I know Jim Ragland's probably going to fuss at me for admitting that, but I really do miss being at church. I really miss hugs from my grandchildren. And I miss you. What about you? What do you miss? Today I want to do something a bit different before I get into my lesson. Today I want to show you a short Christian music video to kind of get you ready for the lesson. This is a beautiful song by a beautiful young artist, so just sit back, listen to the words, and enjoy. During the next 3 minutes, just let the peace of God envelop you. I'll be back in a moment.
Turn your eyes upon the one who saves you from all your sickness and diseases. He won't forsake or leave us. He says, come. For the world grows strangely dim as we set our eyes on Him. All the world grows strangely dim as we set our eyes on Him. Look upon the face who saves you by His grace, from death and darkness passing to new life everlasting, past erased, past erased. For the world grows strangely dim as we set our eyes on Him. All the world grows strangely dim as we set our eyes on Him. And for all the things I want to say, let my heart be on display for you. Only Jesus. And for all the things I want to cry, let my soul cry out today for you. Only Jesus. For all the things I want to say, let my heart be on display for you. Only Jesus. And for all the things I want to pray, let my soul cry out today for you. Only Jesus. For the world grows strangely dim as we set our eyes strangely dim as we set our eyes on him.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that short music video. Since it's been months since we've seen each other, I decided this morning I'd give y'all all an update regarding the McLeland household and our clan. Kathy's mom is still with us, and things couldn't be going better. Since we're not eating out, I'm grilling almost every day, and I just love my new outdoor kitchen. Kathy and I walk almost 3 miles most mornings, and then Kathy and her mom get another walk later in the morning. Both are getting really good exercise. And I'm now saving lots of money. I give myself weekly haircuts. And I don't plan on going back to the barbershop when all this is over. Something good may be coming out of all this. So some news about our grandchildren. Regarding our oldest granddaughter, Megan, she just graduated from Texas A&M this past spring, and she's been so worried that she would never get a job teaching because of COVID. Well, Megan has gotten her first teaching job in Austin, teaching first grade. Kathy and I are both thrilled as well as worried. Thrilled that Megan got a job in the city she wanted to live in, as well as the grade she preferred. But of course, we're worried out of our skins regarding COVID. Our second granddaughter, Elisa, heads back to Galveston soon to resume her degree program at Texas A&M Galveston in marine biology. For those of you that didn't know that, Lisi, short for Elisa, is focused on graduating in 3.5 years. She completed 12 hours this summer, all online, of course. And when Lisi sets her mind to doing something, she'll do it. And our one and only grandson, Ian, is leaving in just 2 days, Tuesday, August 11th, to be specific, for basic training at Fort Jackson in South Carolina. Yes, Ian has joined the Army right out of high school. Following basic training, Ian will then go to AIT training at Fort Gordon in Augusta, Georgia. Something to do with communications technology. I'm not sure when Ian will complete all of his training and get his first deployment, but it'll be sometime early next year. As you might expect, we're very proud of him. Our number 3 granddaughter, Ainsley, Ian's sister and Stacy's daughter, just got her first car. Do you remember your very first car? Well, I certainly do. It's a piece of junk, but I remember it well. And you can well imagine Ainsley's thrilled. Ainsley will be a junior in high school this year and hopes to be a lawyer someday. Her grades are certainly good enough to do anything she wants. We're very proud of her. Regarding Ian and Ainsley, I want to show you a picture of them together with Ian in his cap and gown. Don't they look good? And last and certainly not least is our Katie Bug, who starts 8th grade in a few weeks. Just one more year until she's in high school. She's our baby. It's hard to believe how time is flying so fast, even if we are stuck at home. So I want to thank you for indulging me as I filled you in on a bit of what's going on with our family, something we would have no doubt already done had we been in class together. So now for my lesson. In a bit, I'm going to show a 12-minute video interview with Max Lucado. This video was recorded shortly before Easter, just before COVID had forced us all to shelter in place. This is a video that I've watched several times already, but since I didn't have another topic for today, I thought this one might be appropriate and good. From my perspective, Max's message in this interview is just as relevant today as it was when he recorded it back on April 8th. But before I show you the video, I need to set the stage a bit. I've talked about how bored it can be just staying shut in. In fact, it was just a few days ago that I told Darrell Dallas that I had snuck out of the house and took my car to a drive-through car wash, something I could do. I just needed to get out of the house. Darrell laughed. He'd done the same thing. Anything to safely get away from the house for a short while. Well, we have to do what we have to do, right? As I was thinking about today's lesson, I recall in early February when Jim Gallman talked to us about safety precautions we needed to take with COVID. And he did this again a few weeks ago. We get so much news these days that it's reassuring to hear from someone we all know and trust. Speaking of the news, it seems like COVID consumes practically all the news. I wake up in the morning to the latest overnight updates on COVID. We get another heavy dose starting at 5 p.m., including how many more people have come down with COVID, how many more have died, North Texas, all of Texas, California, Florida, Arizona, and now they're including a lot more states. It's nonstop, and if we're not careful, it can be depressing. And if the news is not about COVID, it's about upcoming elections, which I'm going to stay away from today. I'm learning. But this COVID thing is real and it's here to stay, at least for a while, I think. I mentioned Darrell earlier, and I'll mention him again. As we were talking earlier this week, what else but about COVID? We're both wanting to know how long it's going to be before we see a return to normalcy. I don't know. I have no idea. But I think I told Darrell that maybe by 2022, our nation will finally start getting back to something that resembles normal, pre-COVID. Later that night on TV, I heard on the news that the airline industry is now projecting that they won't see a return to pre-COVID levels until at least 2024. Wow, who knows when normal will return? With so many people unemployed, so many people stuck at home, and I'm hearing things like spousal and kid abuse on the rise. Things are a real mess. It's easy to get worried. It's easy to be very depressed. I guess this is why I've watched and listened to this interview with Max Lucado multiple times over the past couple of months. By the way, the video is titled, "What Appears to Be Evil, God is Going to Use for Good." So think about that as you watch this video. Please pay particular attention to his closing from the book of Ezekiel. It's so interesting how parts of the Bible recorded thousands of years ago apply so perfectly today in our current situation. So here goes.
Pastor Lucado, thank you so much for joining me.
That's my honor. I wish it was under better circumstances, but even so, it's great to be with you.
You know, you wrote a very thoughtful essay saying that this is certainly not the April that any of us wanted. I wonder, for you, what are you missing this April?
Springtime is my favorite time of the year. Springtime reminds us of fresh starts, that we come out of the winter and get to head into a new season, that we survived another winter. This year, we survived a winter only to be slam dunked with another winter, and that is this pandemic. And so I think I just kind of miss that, that expected freshness that typically comes this time of the year.
It's springtime, but a lot of people are grieving.
Yeah.
This feels a lot like grief, what you experience when you lose something or lose someone. Is that how it feels for you?
That is so perceptive on your part. I've been thinking about that quite a bit, because as I've been posting quite a few online messages inviting people to post their prayer requests. As I read over those prayer requests, it sounds like grief. It feels like grief. When I look in my own heart, it feels like grief. Now, I've been using the word anxiety to describe our predominant emotion, and I do think it is still, but I do think that grief is a part of all this. You know, at its core, grief is an unmet expectation. It's an unmet expectation. We expected to have more time with our loved one. We expected to, grow old with our wives. We expected to be healthy, and so when people are grieving, some expectation of life has gone unmet, and that's really what we're dealing with here. We expected to enter into another year protected and safe, because we've come to expect that. And now all of a sudden, I mean, we're told to not even inhale when we get around other people. I mean, we're not told that, but we get this fear that if we inhale, we might inhale a virus. And so we've had to bury, if you will, we've had to bid farewell to a sense of safety that we had come to cherish. For some people, they're having to bid farewell to savings accounts, retirement accounts. Everything has been interrupted. Their plans have been interrupted. And then God bless those people, especially who are grieving the loss of a loved one. I was just texting yesterday with a person on our church staff whose in-laws, 87, 89, I don't know the ages exactly, are both in the hospital on respirators, and it's not looking good. And not only is he grieving, he's grieving the fact that he can't go see them. They're in Colorado, he's in Texas. And so all this grief is coming in on us. I think that, and I think if we can identify what we're dealing with, we can take a step toward treating.
Well, what are some emotional tools that Americans can call upon to get through this?
Yeah. And can we be clear and state that we will? We will. That's not just false hope. God is going to get us through this. I don't know how, and I don't know when. And we may have quite a few uphill days or weeks or months first. But the Bible is a story of how God gets people through things. My goodness, where do you not find God delivering people? It's a story of deliverance. You know, Joseph in the famine, the Hebrews in Egyptian captivity, the Hebrews again in Babylonian captivity. Of course, the great story is the story of Easter. The Good Friday, the darkest day in humanity, becomes the greatest Sunday of celebration because God got humanity through the crisis, the greatest coronavirus of the soul, and that is sin. So we're going to get through it. Weeping may come in the night, but joy comes in the morning. So first of all, let's just say, okay, somehow God is going to get us through this. Number two, allow yourself time to grieve. If this indeed is grief, I don't know any pastor, I don't know any counselor who says dismiss and deny yourself grief. Nobody does that. I mean, no, that stiff upper lip stuff doesn't work. It's certainly not a part of the Bible. You know, when King David learned of the death of Saul and Jonathan, he called the nation to mourn. He commanded that they mourn. Mourning is just a part of getting through stuff. I've said it so many times, so forgive me if you've already heard me say this, but give yourself a good meltdown. And sometimes we need 2 or 3 a day. Just let it go. Let it go. Air your complaint before God. Talk to him honestly. Get on your knees, get on your belly. You know, this is we need to call in all of our forces. And our goal is to be emotionally healthy. And a part of emotional health happens as we come clean with God and talk to him about our fears. So take your grief before God, but then stand on the promises of God. You know, God himself said that he is our shepherd and he will lead us through the valley of the shadow of death. He doesn't leave us in the valley, but this is a valley. It is a valley. It is a valley, and there's a shadow over us. It is a shadow of death. But shadows can't have us forever. They pass by. He leads us through it. He'll get us through it. This is his promise. So hang in there. Don't give up. And just believe God is going to get us through it.
You know, we are speaking to one another from our homes. A lot of people are at home with their families. That can be joyous, it can be stressful, it can be lots of different things, different times of the day. I wonder, you know, how can families get through this together, but also take advantage of this moment where we have been forced to pause? I mean, in my life, I don't know about yours, but I can't think of another time when I have been forced to pause this way.
Yeah, no, we've never had another time like this, never, ever. And the consequence can be a lot of tension at home because not only are moms and dads all of a sudden under the roof with their kids all day, there's a lot of job uncertainty. There's a lot of financial uncertainty. And then layer that with this huge idea of health issues and fear for health. So this has every ingredient of a disaster in the home. So let me encourage moms and dads to do a couple of things, and I'll keep it kind of quick, But first, remember back in the days when we could get on commercial airlines. Remember those days way back years ago? You remember how they would tell us when the oxygen masks, if they indeed fell down, they would instruct parents to first put the mask on your face and then on the face of your children. I mean, I'm thinking that moms and dads might be skipping that step. You got to take some good deep breaths yourself, mom and dad, so you can help your kids. So you mom and dad tag team on this. Mom, get away and let dad have the kids. Dad, get away, let mom have the kids. And if it's a single parent, maybe you can call in some reinforcements or something. But I do think it is important to have those moments alone with God in which you are receiving from him. Receive his assurance, his promise, let him talk to you, air out your grievances, receive his blessing, rejoice in his strength. And so make that part of it. That'd be just one piece of counsel. And the other piece, we got to really listen to one another, because everybody processes disasters differently. Some of us are, okay, I'm going to respond by getting active and being busy. We kick into solve it mode. God bless them. Other people just need to be quiet for a while and soak it in. Other people, they get angry. And maybe that's not they're not happy that they get angry, but they just get angry. So we all react differently. Here's where we need to listen to one another. Listen to one another. And if you can get around the table, say every day, have that check-in. Say, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And listen carefully. Every emotion is valid right now. Not every emotion is healthy, but emotions are just emotions, I mean, they just come up. So acknowledge each other's emotions. Be the encourager that you can be, and take a good deep breath and see if you can, turn this into something good.
Pastor, you mentioned that you love seeing the bluebonnets blooming in Texas, and here in my home in Virginia, when I look out the window, a bright spot is that spring has sprung, and it's so beautiful. And I wonder, in a few days we're gonna celebrate our risen Savior, and is it refreshing to you that we are going to celebrate this ultimate renewal in the midst of these incredibly bleak days?
It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. Everything about it. I was in a studio just 2 days ago with a well-known Christian artist, Chris Tomlin. You probably know of Chris.
Yes.
We recorded a Good Friday service because, so many churches cannot have a Good Friday service. And just rehearsing the story of the gospel, the story of hope, the story of life, it was good for my soul. And the same will be true on Easter. Most churches will be broadcasting an Easter service online. It's not what we wanted. It's not what we wanted. We wanted to dress up and go to church and, be in a congregation. That day will return. Lord willing, that day will return. But let me tell you something. What will happen is millions of people more will tune in and log in to watch an Easter service that would not have. Already in our church, and I'm hearing this from all over the country, the people watching online are 2 and 3 times the number of people that used to attend plus watch online. I know that ours is twice what our attendance plus online audience was, is now twice what it used to be. And so thank God that we live in a time that provides this technological solution to this. And so this is a time for the church to be the church. It's a defining moment in the history of the church. It's a time for us to give encouragement. the time for us to share the gospel, time for us to tell people that God is in control, to remind people that, yeah, this is a wake-up call for the whole planet. We've all been reminded of the brevity of life, the frailty of health. We need a God, and thank God he's there. So this is our message. This is our opportunity to share it. And I'm so thankful that people are going to be tuning in and watching the Easter message. And this will be, what appears to be evil, God is going to use for good.
Amen. And final thing, Pastor, I can't help but think that on the other side of this, that we're going to be a different world. And I wonder if you have given any thought about how the church may be different on the other side of this pandemic.
Wow, I have. I've not quite been given a vision for I'm curious how we're going to behave. I do think I'm praying that it leads to revival. I'm really praying that it leads to revival. I love the story in the book of Ezekiel of when the Hebrews were in Babylonian captivity, and they were so depressed, so despondent, that they felt like they were but dry bones. And that vision that Ezekiel has, it's almost like a curious field trip where God takes him out and shows him a valley of dry bones. And Ezekiel's told to prophesy, and those bones become bodies. And then he's told to prophesy again, and the Holy Spirit comes and infuses or empowers those bodies to become an army. What if that's what's going to happen here? It seems like we're in a time of dryness, a time of death. But what if we were to prophesy, we were to declare, God, come, please. And we were to welcome the presence of the Holy Spirit. And this terrible pandemic would usher in a season of renewal and fresh faith. May it be so. May it be so. It's out of my pay grade to say that that's exactly what's going to happen. But I have been told that pandemics have led to revivals in the past. I'm not an authority on that, but a man who is told me that. And I can see how it would. May it happen again. May it happen again.
May it indeed. Pastor Max Lucado, thank you so much for sharing with us. And I pray that you and your family stay safe.
Thank you. It's always a great treat to talk to you. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless your pregnancy. God bless your health. God bless your ministry. Just God bless you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I hope each of you enjoyed watching this interview with Max and his perspectives on COVID and how this has affected us in so many different ways. Max has a calming and unique way of bringing us back to what's really important. And what's important right now, and Max mentioned this several times in his interview, is that God will get us through this. Not only will God get us through it, he will find a way to use these tough times for good. As a few of you know, one of my favorite books in the Bible is the book of James. Someday I'm going to teach a lesson from this book. I bet Gigi's heard me say this more than a dozen times. But I do want to share a verse from James that I believe ties directly to the closing message from Max. The selection is James 1, 2-3. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. As Max was closing, he mentioned that we're in a time of dryness, that we're in a time of death. And indeed, we really are. This pandemic is so awful. It may be difficult, even impossible for some of us to think of this as a great time of opportunity, a great time for joy, opportunity for great joy. But guys, we are all a people of faith. We are a people who know and worship God. We are a people who talk to and pray to God often, I hope. And we are a people who trust God. So we must also trust that somehow, in his infinite wisdom, God will somehow find a way to use this time for good. And wouldn't it be wonderful if, as Max said, as has happened in the past, that a resurgence of people attending worship might happen. That God somehow will use this time to reach more people. And that we may see more people back in our churches when the churches open up. I think this is something we should all include in our daily prayers. As hard as this might be, we should not worry excessively about this, but we should keep the faith, and we should pray often. I wish each of you peace in the coming week. I'm going to close now, and like Lester Holt of NBC says at the closing of each one of his broadcasts, stay safe, take care of one another, and God bless.